So let's talk about longboards and surf skates, because I've noticed them being compared a lot. And rather than saying one is better than the other, I figured I'd share a few perspectives. First, what is a longboard and what is a surf skate? While there are many variations, I think it's important to kind of make some blanket statements here and try to answer it from the perspective of how most people are thinking about it. So I read through a bunch of YouTube comments, Reddit threads, and emails, and it seems that most people are envisioning the classic drop-through or pintail longboard with reverse kingpin trucks. On average, wheelbases will range from like 20 to 30 inches, but there are obviously always exceptions. Reverse kingpins mixed with longer wheelbases will turn more gradual and less sharp than surf skates. They'll be more stable at higher speeds and easier to balance on if you're just getting started. Are there exceptions? Sure. I've seen beginners hop on pivoting surf skate adapters and pick it up, but I would say most of the time, just from going to my local meetups, I'll bring my quiver, lay out my longboards, lay out my surf skates, and just spectate. And 99% of the time, if it's a beginner, they're gonna feel the most comfortable on a longboard because there's more deck space and it's lower to the ground, which means it'll be easier to balance on and easier to push. The majority of surf skates will have a specific front adapter paired with traditional or reverse kingpin trucks. On average, wheelbases will range from 14 to 20 inches, but again, there are always exceptions. Surf skates will turn quicker and sharper because of how much the front pivots and dives mixed with a smaller wheelbase. They really shine in flatter areas, mellow hills, and smaller spaces because of their extreme maneuverability. I feel like the metric for surf skates kind of warped into, well, how well can it pump from a standstill? Which says a lot about how the majority of people are using them. It's interesting because for 2 years of my childhood, I was consumed by ripsticks. And I feel like surf skate pivoting adapters have sort of tapped into that pumpy, flowy magic that ripsticks did, but with more functionality. And so a little kind of side rant here is that you don't have to be a surfer to enjoy or use a surf skate. It's tricky because I know when there are concrete definitions, it makes it a lot easier for brands to market a longboard or a surf skate. But the downside of that is it kind of silos and makes people think that there's only one way. Let's take a brief look at how the Comet Cruiser is built. Now, from the surface, most would probably assume it's just another longboard cruiser. But you combine a flexi deck with rocker, narrow traditional kingpin trucks, angled risers, soft double cone bushings, and even no washers being used on the board side of the trucks, and you have something that not only feels surfy, but can handle higher speeds efficiently. I guess my main point by sharing that is that there are many ways to build a longboard and surf skate, and really it comes down to what type of riding style or what feel you're going for. I'll make some blanket statements here that I think would be helpful to the average person who's just still feeling confused between the two. If you're an absolute beginner and you want something that's gonna be the most stable and easiest to build a solid foundation for progressing, I would highly recommend your casual cruiser longboard with reverse kingpin trucks. A drop through, a pintail, a drop down, you name it, that's gonna be easier. If you want something that you can pump from a standstill, something that is super maneuverable, look into a surf skate pivoting adapter, something like Waterborne or Yow. If you want something in the middle, a little cross-pollination, I found that Carver CX trucks are perfect for that. They work really well on longer wheelbases, and just drawing from how the Comet Cruiser is built, you could wedge or de-wedge your trucks to mess with the geometry. You could add softer bushings, you could add different bushing shapes, and you can even use a deck with some flex. I'd love to hear about a setup that you really enjoy riding. Would you say it's a longboard, a surf skate? Does it start to blur the line? I think the more perspectives that we can get in the comments below, the better.